One of the most impressive parts about Frieren Beyond Journey's End is how many ways the story uses its characters to explore the many different angles of its theme. But before I continue, there is going to be spoilers up to episode 18, First Class Mage Exam, Ikkyu Mahoskai Senbatsu Shiken. From the beginning of this arc with the introduction of Craft the Monk, this story continues to bring back the same character themes from his experience and explore its lessons throughout the use of many different characters as Frieren continues her journey. Think of Craft the Monk as the endpoint. He's an elf that's older than Frieren. These statues in episode 16 proves the point that you will be forgotten one day, even when you have a statue. So no matter how famous you become and no matter how many legendary things you've accomplished, it will all be gone. So craft the monk's lessons to combat being forgotten and to be awarded for all the great things you achieve in life, or to be praised and to be remembered. Being recognized because great feats are inspirational, and giving people their props because being thanked is a cure for the soul. We've seen statues used by Himo and Craft be one of the biggest forms of maintaining your legend. Having friends, family, strangers recognize your hard work is very encouraging to create a culture that rewards great deeds and accomplishments. Why all this focus on Craft the Monk? Because he's the heart and soul of this entire arc. Episode 18 brought him back for a reason, as a reminder of everything that has happened up until this point. We don't know any specifics about the legendary things that he has accomplished, and that itself is the lesson. It's a travesty that no one remembers why his statue existed in the first place. It's sad that no one's gonna remember who Craft the Monk is and everything that he's done to help contribute to the world. Let me just point out every character and their specific points that have revolved around Craft the Monk's lessons. Himo's hero sword that was just a fib to add to his legend. Ball going senile and forgetting what his wife looked like. The theme continues of the importance of memories and objects that have meaning. Stark and Fern's birthday present. Stark finally understanding the truth of what his birthday hamburger in his past really means. Frieren getting her gift from Himo and cherishing it. Then there was the wrap up of Craft the Monk statue and the legendary priest that was with him. What's worse about knowing the statue would Craft the Monk that there is this other priest? The dude was probably a beast and we will never know anything about him unless Craft the Monk explains it. And that too contributes to the overarching lesson of being remembered, being that inspiration, having people be there to pass on the knowledge, to inspire and understand the history of how we got to this point. And that takes us to Zion's childhood friend, which is the whole point of Guerrilla Warrior in the first place. Don't be forgotten. Live legendary lives. This is all seen in that flashback of Zion's scene with Guerrilla Warrior as kids. Zion's whole lesson is to not live a life that is forgettable. Don't live with that regret. So that takes us finally to episode 18 when we got a little glimpse of Craft the Monk. Think about how satisfying it was to see just a little bit of what Craft the Monk can do. Even Stark understood that this dude is an absolute beast. It's sad that we don't get to see Craft the Monk fully, but that's the point. In this episode, it resumes Fern's next step in her character development. She doesn't recognize what Frieren recognizes, and that is Fern is worthy of passing the first class mage exam. It's clearly all in her head, and this whole arc basically starts up again from the previous episode when Fern got sick. Now, she is taking that next step in her character development to understand how strong she can really become in all the little things that it takes to be a well-rounded mage, as Frieren points out. So down the line, her character arc will eventually bear fruit, but this episode is still about Craft the Monk's lessons. What this episode introduced are two characters that Frieren has to work with in order to pass the first part of the exam, in Lawine and Kane. They are basically two friends where one is more of a pushover and the other is almost a straight bully. So how do these two girls that really don't get along with each other but are seemingly friends, how does that tie into Craft the Monk and its praise? Even Frieren's multiple flashbacks with Hyther proves this point. This is why Frieren always pats Zion and now Fern on the back of the head for something praiseworthy. In Kane's flashback with Lawine, Kane represents the opposite argument of giving someone praise before they actually accomplish anything. In this flashback, she is trying to fly, but she just can't, so she's like down in the dumps. She keeps thinking negatively, and Lawine is the asshole in all this and still punishes her mentally, so it seems. Remember when Stark had to play the fake son? He was worried that his fake father would make the same mistake, but the fake father was a good father that told his real son that he did a good job. But what is the downside to giving someone praise? It can get to your head. Kane is similar to that son. So Lawine essentially plays that tough love role for Kane. Kane tries to make the excuse that he works better if Lawine just praise her for all the other things, and that would give her the real positive reinforcement that she needs. As we see in this scene, Lawine knows all about Kane's personality. She tells her everything that is great about her, but she takes it a little bit too far and tells her that she looks kind of cute when she smiles. And just like that, Lawine manifested her inner Sparta, and Sparta kicked their ass off the ledge. And after Kane falls off the ledge and almost dies, what does she do? She flies. So the lesson here is we can see that constant praise isn't always the best thing. Sometimes you gotta just jump right into it and put yourself in a real life situation. However, Lawine's character shows that there is a gray area between giving people the necessary push to improve, giving them positive words of encouragement, and just straight up bullying. We can see throughout all of Frieren, especially when Craft the Monk was introduced. I mean, the show itself is already about the theme of memories, flashbacks, being remembered, remembering things. So Craft the Monk plays right into that in this entire arc, with him being reintroduced and with him making this cameo. It just makes us all remember that Craft the Monk being there, he is there for a reason, and that's to remind us of being remembered, giving praise, all the themes and lessons that come from his character. And right before he left in that scene with Yubel, what did he say? He said that he would love to hear from Frieren her next adventures. So that right there, coupled with what happened at the end of this episode, still stays on theme with Craft the Monk. I just love this entire callback to that lesson. This show has done everything that it can to use different kinds of characters, different situations to all essentially go back to these themes. It is an interesting way to tell kind of like a hero's journey. It's not the typical hero's journey because the hero's journey is already over. This is the age of peace. You don't need heroes like that, but you do need people to still do amazing things. So this is another way to tell that hero story from a different perspective, to still build upon these characters, these people that can do big things. So yeah, that is pretty much my take on Craft the Monk coming back. It all stems from that, doing legendary things, being remembered, and telling people, hey man, you did a good job. It really does uplift people when you do that. All in all, Frieren provides so many different lessons and themes that it really deserves like a multiple hour video essay. But I think this one that continued in episode 18, that started from episode 11 with Craft the Monk, is the biggest takeaway for me because it's the biggest lesson through all of this. The whole story revolves around that. All these characters end up having some type of backstory that kind of relates all the way back to giving someone praise, being remembered, growing old. All of these things are under an umbrella of Craft the Monk. It is really about the different angles in this story that really impresses me. It's not just, hey, I'm gonna fight the Demon King and we're gonna get stronger. This is a totally different perspective that I can enjoy. And as long as there's a little bit of plot and there's enough of action, it still makes it pretty entertaining to watch. But yeah, guys, let me know what you guys thought about this anime. I would love to know. What is your biggest takeaway from Frieren, especially in this episode, episode 18? Do me a favor, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Check out my blog at otakusen.com, and I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.